This episode is sponsored by Frey's Flowers, a Western New York family-run flower farm and floral preservationist. They now offer unique pressed flowers in the shape of buffaloes in prints and in different sizes in handmade wooden frames. Be on the lookout for bills, sabers, and bandits-colored buffaloes coming soon.
You can get a hold of them on their website at phraseflowers.com. That's Frase flowers.com. Or check them out on Facebook and Instagram. Bring more joy and color into your life at Phrase Flowers. What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. As always, I am PK alongside my co-host Phil. Episode 361. Big show to get into. We're recording 7:15-ish, starting recording 7:15-ish on Monday the 19th. It's officially spring/summertime because your room is so bright. I'm not used to it being that bright. I'm a little confused, a little nervous, but I do have some news here at the PK house. Our one foster puppy did get adopted on Saturday. He's officially in his forever home. We're down to two foster puppies left, and I got the steps are in motion to start the fence in the backyard. It's I got it all lined out. I called 811 Dig. Like a good boy, I scheduled a meeting with my town to get the fencing permit, and everything's marked off for the utilities. So everything's roped off exactly wherever I think it's going to go. We got all the plans for where the gates are going to go. It's a massive fence. It's going to take a while to get this thing built, but it's going to be step by step, and we're going to get it done. Yeah, some big things that transpired from the last time we talked, which was way back on last Wednesday when we recorded, out on Thursday. I do like these long gaps, but then it's a short gap for the following one. But we're almost done. We're going to get into it in a bit.
Yeah, are you doing a completely homemade fence then?
I am. 4x4 posts with 2x6 boards on top, 2x6 boards on the bottom, and it's called cattle paneling. So it's like 2x1 squares with it's like one full thing of metal fencing, but it comes in like 100 and 200 rolls, and I'm gonna need like 9 million of them for the size of the yard we have. It's gonna be a project.
Just going staples galore.
Oh yeah, staples everywhere. The benefit is the dogs we currently have, Molly and Maggie. Maggie's right there, Molly's on the other side. They don't touch fencing, but I'm gonna secure it as best I can for future dogs because I don't want to have to build another fence in the future. I'm hoping this will last a while. But yeah, staples galore everywhere, and then the 2x6s on top and bottom is the reinforcements. But it's gonna be a project, man. It's gonna be a project.
Yeah, we got our little vegetable garden going officially. We had some herbs going earlier, but now we got everything planted. It's all pretty happy. This is the first time I've ever tucked plants in was tonight. There's supposed to be a frost coming in tonight, so we were told to throw a blanket on top of it. So we did. We went out and tucked the plants in for the evening. So that's, they're all cozy back there. Got the lawn done. Got everything edged, looking nice. So we're doing all right. We got a lot of flowers going, and our little couple side gardens. We got some new perimeter stuff in for it and boxed it in, and some new plants all over, so things are looking very springy over here.
We got a lot of yard work going on here at the BSC as we close this out. We'll get into it in a second. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Phil's article will be out on Wednesday. Give a listen to this episode and then go read his article the very next day. You can check out our store on our link tree on our social media sites or at the top of the website. While you're there, read Phil's article. You can hit the shop tab and represent the BSC on the go, and there will not be a breakdown in this one because it's Bandits only. We will go over the rest of May and into June because we do have a lot more listeners that might not have been in with what our schedule turned into last year. And actually, maybe the year before that. I can't even remember when we made the switch. But we are a 6-month by 6-month type of show. The in-season is all Bandits coverage because we are a Bandits-centered show. We also cover Bills and Sabres. Again, if you're listening to this for the first time, this is all new to you. If you're listening to this for the 361st time, this is old news for you. But we're going to be going down to one show every Wednesday from June until December starts up when the Bandits season kicks back off. But for the rest of May, this coming Friday, it's going to be preview show for Game 3. It's our final preview show for sure on Friday. The Monday show will be our reaction show for Game 3. And then that following Friday, Friday the 30th, will be our final in-season episode where we will be going over our predictions and exactly what happened and then kind of tidying up Game 3 of anything that we still want to talk about then. And then Wednesday, June 4th, will be the first of very, very many Wednesday episodes in off-season mode. I'll have to look back. We might be one of the only... We're definitely the only Bandits-centered podcast that goes year-round, but we might be one of the only, if not the only, lacrosse-type podcast that goes year-round. We'll have to dive more into that, but we still go through Bandit stuff. We still go through the league stuff. Any news that transpires is going to be a big off-season. Not as big as last year where we had the draft and we had Panther City and all that transpired, but it's a lot of CBA negotiations that we're going to try to keep you up to date on, and with no Adam Levy, we'll give you as much as we can find. But it's going to be... We still go over all Bandit stuff. We still give scenarios, and this offseason might be big. Win or lose. Does Matt Vince come back? Does Paul Dawson come back? Kyle Buchanan, and so on and so forth. What does the... If you're interested in what these type of shows look like, go listen to last year's offseason. But we still cover Bandits. We still cover the league. And it's a little bit more fun because we're allowed to be more relaxed. There's not like an agenda. If we don't hit something, we hit it on the following one. But next Friday... the 30th will be the final in-season, and then we start going every single Wednesday moving on forward. And we kind of made that switch. If you haven't listened to this, we made that switch so we're not just dead. And we found out that kind of June through December, there's not a ton of stuff to talk about. We dropped the Bison's coverage for a reason. Nobody was interested in it. That's fine, whatever. But, yeah, it's kind of to preserve our sanity. We're kind of drained after the regular season, and I don't even know how the players deal with it, but I think we're far more tired. I think we have 2 shows a week every time. They usually only have 1 game a week, so, I mean, come on now.
At least we all have 2 jobs.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, they get paid for their second job. We don't get paid for that.
Yeah, we don't get paid at all. I've yet to see royalties for this at all.
Someday, maybe. Probably not.
I'll just take an editor. I'll take an editor and a social media manager, please. That's all I want. But
for free.
I don't know if you've noticed, but the world is crumbling in here in Banditland. The sky's falling. Everything's bad.
Chicken
bad news
Little
bears
is out.
everywhere. I'm going to go on record. I hate Bandits fans after any type of loss. It's mind-numbing. And I know a lot of it. And same with like politics and religion and all that kind of crap that we don't deal with on this show. The loudest voices are usually the minority that deal with this kind of stuff, but holy cow, were there some wild takes out there. The wildest one we were dealing with on X, they should bench Josh Byrne, was the hottest. That was a hot topic, or a hot take is what they said. I said it wasn't even a hot take, it was just a silly one, and then they came back. It was so silly, he's not playing well. Duh. But you still don't bench your whatever. But there's some wild conversations out there right now. But you're not coming to us for that. We try to stick as unbiased and as truthful and factual as we can on this show. If it's bad, we're going to call it out. If it's good, we're going to call it out. And anything in between, we talk about it. We try not to be homers, and I'm talking like this is the first time people are listening. Hopefully it is your first time listening. We get more fans. That's why we're going to Friday, but this is the inside conversation. Whatever. I'm going off track. Game 1, Bandits win 12-10. McKay had 4. Buchanan and Smith 3 each. Byrne and Frazier 1 each. Vince 44-54 saves. Shots were 54-44 in favor of Saskatchewan. Faceoffs 16-10 somehow. I'll get into that later. Saskatchewan 0 for 2 on the power play. Buffalo 1 for 1. Phil, overview. What was your thoughts on this game? And again, this is a doubleheader. I can't wait for the preview show and the reaction show next week. It's only one game, but We'll try to talk about game one in as much detail without going way overboard, and then game two and kind of tie it all together. But what was your thoughts on game one?
Yeah, I mean, quick overview. I really thought they looked bad.
Yep.
Not
They
to
looked
be
rusty.
They looked rusty. I mean, the week off we knew was going to help with injuries. Matisse was able to get back out there, but then you saw the Rush immediately picking on Matisse for being back out there and a little bit slower coming off of an injury. And you could tell they kind of enjoyed him being one on one. And they didn't look like the better team for most of the game. And that's not for the whole game. I think from when their 4-goal run hit at the end of the game to take over the game and win, I thought they looked like the better team. They looked like the Bandits that we'd seen the entire playoffs, where they had shut down defense, great Matt Vince, and the offense was doing enough to continue to push forward and get some goals and win the game. But before that, the first 3 quarters, or first half and then into the third quarter, I thought the Rush looked like the better team. I thought they were buzzing around a lot more. They had a lot of great opportunities. The defense looked lost. The offense at times looked lost. They just looked scared to go to the inside, and then they would have moments where they found the way to get inside. It would look great, and then they would just disappear for a little while again, then go on that quick 2 goals right away, and then they would disappear. And it was just a lot of that. I thought for the first kind of half of the game, and maybe even a little more, they kind of just weathered the storm. That's why I told my brother immediately at halftime. I was like, all right, you got to half. Your bye week is over. You're through the rustiness. Like, you made it in a tie game. That's fine. It's kind of where you want to be in this situation. Weather the storm, and then slowly, a lot slower than I would have liked, took over in the second half. And I thought they played much better in the fourth quarter, especially, but in the second half in general. But it was just a sloppy game from the Bandits. I thought the Rush looked good, but I thought the Bandits could have looked better. It just wasn't the same team we saw just go up against Vancouver and San Diego, where they were playing near flawless lacrosse.
Yeah, I think the word of the day and the word of this episode is going to be sloppy. We're going to say it a lot. I think overall, both games, and again, we're only talking about game one to start, but it's a culmination. Both of them were very sloppy. Saskatchewan 2-0 start. It was 3-2 Saskatchewan after 1. They got it to 6-6 at halftime, 11-10 after 3. Buffalo held the lead, and then only 1 goal in the whole fourth quarter, even though somebody else said that Bandits have stunk all season long in the fourth quarter. We spat out facts that they've only been outscored in the fourth quarter 4 times in the regular season. So again, if you're going to have, we were talking offline, if you're going to have opinions, all good with you. If you disagree with us, all more power to you. It's better for discussions, but at least bring valid discussions to the arguments here and have something to back it up. Just don't say hot takey stuff because it's clickbait. But the only goals that was scored in the fourth quarter was 12 seconds left, and it was a tip goal by Buchanan. But we'll kind of go over the offense here. I think a lot of this can be, and I'll give all the credit to Chris Cloutier. He rolls his ankle a minute 43 into the game. He's gone for a bit. I see him hobble to the bench, and then he just disappears off the bench. I'm like, oh no, this isn't good. They've only got 2 lefty forwards dressed right now, and that was one of the. I'm not going to keep bringing it up, but he came back in the game. He gutted through it. He definitely was not himself, but he was one of those ones that was like, okay, there's only 2 other lefties on this team right now, and Ian McKay, as much as he's a full-time forward this year, this is his first year as a full-time forward. You can't just leave Byrne and McKay out there. So he gutted through it, and we were like, okay, there's no way he's going to be playing on Sunday, and we'll talk about Scanlon in a minute, but I think that definitely played a factor into how the offense was a bit slow in this game, because it was Josh Byrne and Ian McKay on every single offensive shift for pretty much the entire first quarter, which doesn't help because then you're worn down in the second, third, and fourth. So I do think that played a factor into it, but I also think that the missed time or the bye week also played a big factor in it. And also Adam J., he was amazing on Dane Smith in the whole first half. I mean, he was in his face. He was frustrating Dane Smith nonstop. I think Hossack was over there as well as Jarrett Smith. They were all frustrating the heck out of Dane Smith, and you could definitely see it. And I'll go in a minute, but Nanakook 3 assists. You had Kluch with 2 assists in the game. McKay came alive again with 4 goals. Byrne 1, 4, and 5, even though people say to bench him. Bucky 3, 1, and 4. Smith had an 8-point night with 3 goals. Frazier 1, 1, and 2. I think there were, to me, And I'm not going to go over every single goal, but to me, there were 3 goals that stood out that kind of gave Buffalo the momentum. The first one was the second goal by Buchanan. It was Byrne getting the loose ball. Buchanan loops around the backside. He peels inside. Amazing feed by Nanakoke to find him there. It was beautiful. And then Bucky goes airborne to tie it 2-2. I think there was a massive goal in the first quarter. The next one was Frazier's number 5th goal. It was a monster save by Vince on one end. Frazier blows by Barnable on the back end, and it's 5-4, give Buffalo their first lead. And then the 8th goal. It was Dane Smith's first of his 3 in that third quarter there. He beats Messenger right around the end, dives through the crease, and cuts it from 9 to 7 to a 9-8 Saskatchewan lead. And that was the momentum to get Buffalo getting going in that third quarter. And I think those, to me, were the 3 biggest goals that stood out for the offense to get them going.
Yeah, for the most part, for the offense, again, the only thing, and you have to give the Rush a lot of credit. I'm not trying to take anything away from what they've been able to do. They're a very good team. Sheliano's a good goalie. As you just mentioned, a lot of their defense, they have very strong defenders who are fast. They're agile. They know what they're doing. So I'm not trying to take anything away from them. But the interesting thing, again, with the offense was that how they scored in just bunches. Like, they were not consistently able to score. It was just a very quick hit and then nothing, and then quick hit and then nothing. It was weird. They just couldn't seem to sustain any true pressure. And yes, that goes to, again, the Rush's defense is good. Shiliano is good. And they had opportunities that were missed, way too many, in my opinion. There were a few empty netters where just passes weren't being caught. There were a few off the pipe, which is, obviously very close. So they had good chances here and there, but it was just weird to see the offense score so quickly and then just disappear, and then really, really quick and then disappear. But overall, they did fine. I mean, you and I, for the pregame show, you called out Smith and Byrne need to step up in this kind of situation. They were quieter, still, number 2 and 3 on the team in points going into this series, but quieter for the team. Not really.
They weren't needed to be what they were in the regular season.
And then especially, which I'm sure you were about to get to, Smith in the second half was needed, and my goodness, did he come to play. And then I called out Bucky to get some goals going, because I think he had 1 going into the series. Yep. He puts up a hat trick and looks electric, and that is exactly what the Bandits offense needed. So, I mean, both of the things that we called out for this series kind of came true and worked in the Bandits' favor. Wasn't quite enough in game 2, which we'll get to, but I do think those kind of things moving forward are positives for the Buffalo offense. Like, Smith getting going to this level and having played as great as he did in these last 2 games was amazing. Buchanan finding ways to get open again, making those little things work, those little passes, and just the way he plays, seeing him find his rhythm again was huge for this team. So I do think moving forward for game 3, we're not going to preview it, obviously, but I do think those are really big keys that they were able to get going in this 2-game swing.
So before we move on, because we're going to package defense and goaltender together, and I don't want to run long, we're going to get into our second sponsor of the show, Tap That Taproom.
Tap That Taproom is at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York, where PK and I just were watching the Bandits lose, but they are Buffalo's first women-owned self-pour bar featuring 30 consistently rotating taps, offering a wide variety of beers, ciders, sours, seltzers, and malt beverages.
As Phil just mentioned, we were just there on Sunday partaking in the watch party, the best watch party around. Yes, that even topped Buffalo's official watch party. Tap That Taproom's been doing it all year. Suck it, Buffalo. Wednesday is Geeks Who Drink Trivia at 7:30. Thursday, it's double dose action. They have Thank You Thursdays from 6 to 10. It's discounted offers and discounts off your
10% off your tab.
10% off your tab. Thank you. I was
go.
blanking on it for whatever reason. For first responders, for teachers, and military. But along with that, this is a ticketed event, so make sure you get your tickets beforehand. Macaroon and beer/cider tasting at 6:30 with Sprinkles Bake Shop and Cafe from Tonawanda. They're partnering up for this one. Make sure you get your tickets before they are fully sold out. Friday is happy hour from 3 to 7. The whole beer wall is discounted. And then Saturday, it's the official final Bandits watch party of the season. Make sure you head down to Tap That Taproom. Phil and I were checking out the patio. They got some new things out at the patio. And Inside, we listen to the new sound system. It is chef's kiss perfect. But this is the place to go for all your summer activities, especially when the rain disappears. I know it's a little cold this week, but once the sun comes out, that patio is going to be bumping. So make sure you head down to Tap That Tap Room to find out what is coming up on their Facebook page and to find out what's on tap and what's on deck. Check out tapthattaproom.com. We will move on as I scroll up past all of these notes to game 2 with the defense. As you mentioned off the top, Kyle Matisse comes back. Ron John goes to a healthy scratch. To me, I think the biggest issue I had, which was it trickled into game 2 as well, was second and third chances that the Rush got. And this one, they were able to nip it in the butt, especially in the fourth quarter. But there were way too many second and third opportunities early on. Matt Vince played unbelievable. And the biggest thing is, I'm not going to, how do I put this? I'm not going to be ageist. I guess that's the best way to put it. But in this series so far, Paul Dawson and Kyle Matisse have shown their age a bit, and they've been a bit too flat-footed, and this younger, speedier offense for the Rush has able to break them down. And even Anderson's goal that was disallowed, he broke down Matisse in a bad way, and that was for Anderson's first game in a long time. It was his 7th ever game, first ever playoff game. But overall, I think in the second quarter and on, a little shaky in the third quarter, but they did very, very well. I mean, Shanks, he was the only one that did a ton of damage. He walks away with 8 points, but Mann's 2-2-4 on 12 shots. He had Walter, who was very quiet with 1 goal. Keenan, 1 goal on 14 shots. The defenders that were going against Ryan Keenan, Derek Keenan's behind the bench, Ryan Keenan were electric. Church, 0-3 and 6 shots on net. Anderson, 1 shot, 1 goal, but Haley as well. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, 4 shots. I think for the most part, besides Shanks, which Shanks has been unbelievable this entire playoff, so I can't hold it against him. I thought the defense did very well at adjusting to what Saskatchewan was doing, especially in that fourth quarter. They were unbelievable in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and it is tough for them to adapt to this kind of offense. I mean, they've said it right along with all the previews and everything that they are, to me, I don't think they're the deepest offense in the league. I still think that kind of goes to someone like Buffalo. But I do think they are arguably the most balanced offense in the entire league. And because of that, those goals can come from anywhere. Anybody can get hot at any time. So you have to watch the entire team pretty equally, other than right now they really, really need to find a way to lock Shanks down, figure it out. But outside of that, like you said, like everybody else, you have to watch equally. There's no one you can key in on, which makes it that much tougher, makes why the Rush are doing such a good job and why they are in the finals this year. But I think the Bandits defense did a very nice job covering everybody pretty equally across the board, because it is a tough offense to have to blanket cover outside of Shanks, who's, like you said, just in another world right now and playing really, really good. But the secondary chances and third chances, it was so difficult to watch in both games. I know we're trying to stick to one, but especially in game 1 when you watched it, just so many times they were like, okay, you got the save, Vince got the big save, here we go. They get the ball back. You're like, okay, we'll fight through another 30 seconds. Okay, Vince gets another big save. They get the ball right back. And just happened over and over and over. And then your offense would go down, the Bandits offense would go down, take a shot, and the Rush have it immediately. Like, there was no secondary chances for the Bandits offense, but the Rush's offense were getting 2, 3, 4 chances, and it wears a defense down. It wears a Matt Vince down. Vince played absolutely incredible, so this is not anything against him, but like you said, for a Dawson, for a Matisse, these players who are a little bit older, as the game goes on, if you're allowing this many more chances and your defense is staying out there that much longer, for a young, fast offense like the Rush have, they should, in theory, start to get better as it goes on. But I do think the defense kicked the rust off and really figured out how to adjust to the Rush's offense and what they were doing really well. And like you mentioned, we're able to lock it down the entire fourth quarter. I think it was, 6 minutes left in the third, maybe, before was their last goal, somewhere around there.
Yes.
So
there was no goals the final 21-43 of the game.
So
yeah, and
incredible.
I think there were a few moments where I think Matt Vince was really good. I mean, he was good all night, but I think these saves stood out. The pad stack at 11-minute mark to keep it 2-0. unbelievable. The side post or getting post to post in the second at 6:40 mark was an insane save. He did a very good job at selling the goaltender interference. Should have been called anyways, but man, it looked like he got shot and just went flopping, and then he gets up, no problem. But he's good at selling those ones. But Walter, the first goal, Dylan Robinson and Dawson don't switch off. Walter's wide open for a one-timer just 22 seconds in the game. That can't happen, and then it did happen again in game two, just a little bit later. Anderson, Warriors just gets blown by. I mean, 2 minutes in, it's 2-0. The defense, that one, both of those goals were definitely, okay, we got to shake off the rust here. It was, okay, we've been off for 2 weeks. We haven't played in a while. That's what that looked like. The third one, Shanks is wide open on the right-hand side for a good 3 seconds. Whitty just passes into Perillo, and Perillo has no idea he's even there. I mean, it was legit 3 seconds. I counted. He was wide open for 3 seconds, just standing there. How do you leave the hottest shooter, possibly behind Ian McKay, just wide open, unattended? Fourth one, Haley. Wires gives Haley way too much space. Bouncer past Vince. The fifth one was the one that I said Mad Vince should absolutely have. Messenger from the restraining line. I don't know how that gets by Mad Vince. He definitely would want that one back. I mean, it ties it up 5-5. Shanks, Wires, back pick, and then Priolo has 2 guys. Shanks, that one's just a great play designed by Saskatchewan. The seventh one, Mann's first possession in the second half. Mann's just puts, this is one that I mentioned, Paul Dawson, an absolute blender who's flat-footed and he couldn't keep up with Zach Mann. Zach Mann's again in the 8th one, 4-on-4. Perillo, way too much space. Doesn't after the switch off. It's 8-6 Saskatchewan. The 9th one, Keenan. Again, no switch. Perillo, again, too much space. It's 9-7 Saskatchewan. Then the last one, Shanks. Belter can't get that loose ball in the air, which was a difficult one because he had to turn his back. Matisse is too slow on the switch. Again, flat-footed by Matisse. And then it's 10-8. But again, after that, they did a very good job of locking it down. The Mad Vince and Net did a very good job of stopping any type of runs to get back into it for Saskatchewan, and it was a very good adjustment game, especially in the fourth quarter, especially with 6 minutes left in the third quarter by the defense and goaltender. And I thought going into this game too, okay, if this carries over, it doesn't matter what the offense does. Saskatchewan's not going to be able to put up big numbers. If you score 10 goals, you're probably going to win.
Yeah, that was the issue I had with the defense, is that a lot of, oftentimes we'll find some goals are against the defense, some goals are against Vince, and other goals are just the team played a really, really great system or had a great goal. And a lot of these seemed like they were defensive breakdowns where, yes, the Rush were doing a good job kind of disguising things and getting themselves open and putting themselves in good positions, but a lot of it was the defense just standing with 3 guys in the middle of the field watching somebody on the outside just get closer and closer and closer, and nobody's picking them up, and then he just gets a wide open shot. And it was just the slow switches, the miscommunication, and again, it's going to happen when you're not used to this offense, so you have to adjust, and I think they did that in the fourth, but just too many times I had it against the defense, which is not what you like to see. Oftentimes it's just, hey, that was a great offensive play against nobody. You can't do anything about it. Nice play by the other team. And it's not that these weren't that. Again, the Rush were doing what they needed to do to find themselves space, get themselves open. But I thought the defense just is normally, how they played against, I want to say, Vancouver. I don't know if they did against San Diego. I don't remember that far back. But against Vancouver, they were playing extreme press the whole game. They were just in everybody's face the whole time. There was no room for anybody. And this one, they seem to be packing it more in the middle, which is fine. But then it leaves those outside shots that become middle shots as the player just keeps getting closer and closer. And then there's, 3-4 guys in the middle of the field for the Bandits while the Rush are just picking those outside lanes, which, yes, it's a better angle for Vince and kind of the shot he wants to see, but not when they get that close to him, when they can just kind of pick their spot and score. So, yes, you'd maybe like to see Vince have some of those off-angle shots that the defense was kind of allowing, but you'd also like to see the defense press a lot harder to those shooters and get there so they don't have that time and space to get in. So I think they did a good job in the fourth adjusting to all of that, and then you saw as the game went on that the Rush were just kind of throwing things at the net because they weren't able to find that space that they were earlier in the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just goes down to what Pat Gregoire says on the show a lot is sticks on hands. They just weren't getting sticks on hands and giving them the opportunity to wind up and shoot that. If they take, and I'm not even saying it's lack of effort, I'm not saying it's lack of skill or anything like that. It's just they seem like they were one step behind getting out to those shooters on a lot of those shots. And that's not something that we typically had seen, especially in the playoffs from this defense. So I do think that a lot of it is shaking off that rust from a week off because they had played how many weeks in a row, like 15 straight weeks. And having a week off is good for nursing the injuries and the nicks and bruises, but when you're going on that nice of a streak, it's a little bit tougher to crank it back up, especially this late into a season where it's like, okay, maybe my body rested a bit too much and it's taking me a bit more time to get into it. So that is one negative effect of it, but you got the win. They don't ask how. They just want to ask, did you get the win? They got the win. They got out of it.
That's all I was thinking at the end of that game.
Yep.
They don't ask how. They ask how many. Yep. You got the win. Get out of there.
You got one of the 2 wins you needed. Just to wrap this one up, I thought the face-offs, I think, and this is an off-season topic, I'm not going to get into it now, but I do think that the face-off dot is something that needs to be looked at this coming off-season. And I know Connor Farrell is a big fan favorite. I know he's a big locker room guy. I know everybody absolutely loves Connor Farrell. But I think this matchup with Jake Naso has kind of exposed him a bit on what we've been saying for years about if you're going to have a Fogo guy, especially in the playoff situation like this, he needs to be able to win those battles and get those big draws when he needs to. There was twice where Wires would pick up the loose ball and there's no outlets. And I'm not saying that's on Connor Farrell. That's a bad play design by the coaching staff. Or a player messed up or something along those lines. There needs to be better outlets. And I thought they had fixed it. It looked like they had fixed it later on in the season, and it just went to poop in this one. Last one. And this has been a hot topic on across the lacrosse world. I don't know, and we don't know who supplies the mics in the arenas, but holy cow, whoever supplies Saskatchewan's mics, get them to Buffalo, because this is 2 games in a row. It's absolutely ridiculous that in a finals that you can't get working mics for these referees. And I'm not blaming the refs. I'm blaming whoever's supplying these microphones. It's horrible. It's horrendous. This can't happen. It makes your league look like a complete joke. It's unacceptable and needs to be fixed. And whoever is responsible for it, it needs to be addressed in Game 3 because it was horrible once again.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something you come to kind of expect, and it didn't make sense because it was fine all season. So what happened that all of a sudden, like you said, like the batteries ran out because they didn't expect them to go this far and they can't afford new batteries or something. I don't know. But even when we were watching the away game, we were like one of your first comments was, are we going to be able to hear the refs tonight?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be a comment you need to make in a finals game or any time if you want to be the next major league through the entire regular season. Yes, there's certain things that happen, like the cutting out of the announcers during the Buffalo game that one time. Technical difficulties happen, but they shouldn't be consistent, and they shouldn't happen this frequently in playoffs. And the question that you asked about their microphone shouldn't need to be asked. But
agreed.
In the rush, we could hear them great. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Charge up the batteries so you got a week.
Please.
Please. That's all I'm asking, especially for the rewatch. Please. I don't want to hear the refs very often. That means it's playing a very ref-free game, but when they make calls, I want to be able to hear what the heck it is. You shouldn't have to rely on, okay, I'm going to try to read what their hand signals are and try to figure out what it is, and then hopefully when I'm watching back, they know what the call is on the broadcast. But the penalties weren't very many, and the ones that were a little iffy. But again, referees do not control the outcome of this game. The Anacos reffing one, I think it was a very good sell job by Jay. It was weaker than ever call. Didn't like it. Belter's one, didn't like this one either. He's jumping in to helping a guy, and he didn't do anything. It's not like he threw punches. He's just pulling the guy off a burn, and then he goes and helps Dylan Robinson. No punches were thrown. No shoves were made. Nothing like that. I think it was just... I think the call was made on him once he left Josh Burns' side and went to Dylan Robinson's side. I still don't like that call whatsoever. I think the Josh Burns one, sending them both to the bench, Shanks and Burns, fine with that one. Whatever. It's just the extra one on Zach Belter I didn't agree with. I don't like that one. And then Burns roughing on Messenger. I didn't like that one either. I mean, they were just getting after it. If you want to send them both, send them both. That one was a little ticky-tack, but again, all roughing ones by Buffalo, and none of them were really roughing in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to control fighting in the game, so they were calling roughing anytime anything got a little bit physical between these teams to try to kind of keep the peace ish. And if
But then
you
you swallow your whistle in the fourth quarter. Like I that's what I don't like.
right,
Just call it the same way throughout the game. Again, if you want to swallow your whistle in the fourth, that's great. But swallow your whistle throughout the entire game. It's just remain
yeah, it
consistent.
seems like they're trying to like set a tempo early of hey,
Yeah,
we're gonna call all these roughing penalties,
and then
so
ease off. Yeah.
don't fight each other. And then the fourth, they're like whatever, do what you need to do.
So we'll move on to game two here. They lost 11-10. Phil and I were at Tap That Tap Room to take this in with a bunch of Bandits fans. I do love that type of atmosphere where it's just
fun.
all Bandits
It was a lot
fans.
of
Good or
fun.
bad, it's a fun environment. McKay, Scanlon, Smith, and Frazier 2 each. Byrne and Bucky 1 each. Vince 41 of 52 saves. Shots were 52-50 in favor of Saskatchewan. So if you're doing the math, yes, Buffalo was outshot in both games. Face-offs 14-10 in favor of Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan, this is the number here, 2 for 3 on the power play, while Buffalo was 0 for 1. Phil, overview of game two.
Very similar for once that we've had two games that are actually very comparable.
So happy.
Oftentimes it's one or the other, but these games very, very similar in the fact that I think Buffalo, once again, just very uncharacteristic. I don't like, getting angry at this team for anything, but it's just very uncharacteristic of how they were playing. The sloppiness again. I don't know what was with the ball. I do not know what was going on. They could not pick the ball up.
They definitely
ever.
greased it.
Passes were all over the place. Even little handoffs where they're just jogging past each other. They would just drop the ball. Priolo, I think, dropped it all on his own the one time, just running. And
that was Matisse as well. He dropped one on the handoff as well. Yeah.
I didn't understand it. And then 3 of the goals, which we'll get into, were caused because there were 3 or 4 Bandits players all around a loose ball and have no idea how to pick it up. And the Rush just sneak away with it while they're all still battling each other, essentially, and then just go and score either on the next possession or immediately after. And it was just that kind of sloppy play. It was another game where I thought they could have won, and I feel like if they cleaned it up a little bit, they're still, to me, after these 2 games, I think they're the better team. I completely think that if they play Buffalo Bandits lacrosse, they play to the best of their ability, they are the better of these 2 teams. But the problem is the Rush aren't making a lot of mistakes, and the Bandits are. And those mistakes are allowing them to stay in games like this, and then eventually the Rush were able to come back and take over, and it took a comeback and a great fourth quarter in the first game for the Bandits to overcome their own mistakes and come back and win that game. And I think if they just played a clean game and played how they can play, I'm not going to say the Rush would be they're an extremely good team. I'm not trying to say they'd be like blow them out or be a pushover, but I do think they would be able to win comfortably. And by comfortably, I mean 2 or 3 goals, but actually have like an established dominance over this team. I think they have that in them. But they're just playing sloppy, and they're playing a little bit slow. The Rush are, again, a youthful, fast team, but more than anything, just the sloppy play is what's sticking out because it's not something we saw in the first round or the second round. Like, that was great, great lacrosse by the Buffalo Bandits, and now all of a sudden it gets to the finals where they've been 5 straight times, so this shouldn't be anything big for them or anything new for them. And all of a sudden they're playing just a little bit sloppy and a little bit off their game. I don't think it's anything the Rush are doing necessarily to cause the sloppiness, but they just aren't playing as crisp as I think they need to be in this situation.
Yeah, I think what you said was perfect. And again, this is not. I feel like I'm one of the more, as a Bandits fan doing this for 4 years, I feel like comfortably saying I'm one of the most unbiased ones when talking about this. I try to be, at least. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but if Buffalo's playing their absolute best and Saskatchewan's playing their absolute best, based on the games I saw this weekend, I still think Buffalo has the edge over Saskatchewan. I think you put it perfectly. It's not a giant edge, but I do think it's a 2 to 3 goal edge that if Buffalo's playing their peak, they can beat Saskatchewan by 2 or 3 goals. And I think we saw it here. Buffalo played a very sloppy game in game 2 here. Again, that's the word of the show. And they still lost by 1. And they were in it the entire time. They were down 3-0 after 3-0 to start the game. It was 3-1 Saskatchewan after the first. Buffalo came back to tie it 6-6 at half. They actually held the lead 9-8 going into the fourth quarter. And then 3 straight goals by Saskatchewan to take that 11-9 lead. Buffalo gets one late, but it's not enough. It was very close right at the end. I think it was Buchanan hit it off the crossbar again. I don't know how that didn't go in the dying seconds. But for the offense, no goals for the first 11-20 of the game. Nearly no goals for the final 15 of the game between the end of the third into the fourth. Too many of McKay's shots were just hitting Chiliano on the chest. I thought he was off in this one. You can kind of see that, okay, Burns not on this playoffs, and we see it. His shooting is off, and I think a lot of it has to do with his ankle. You're seeing him set lanes a lot more. You're seeing him be off the field in less reps in this series ever since he hurt his ankle in San Diego. And you're seeing Ian McKay pick up that load. When Byrne isn't scoring and McKay isn't there, that's where the goal difference there to me with this offense. Buchanan, I mean, his foot is barely in the crease on that fourth one, and then the insane save by Chiliano on the first chance in the second half. That save was unbelievable. The Dane Smith one that he gathered up, and somehow Chiliano makes that save. It seems like he does one every single game.
With his head.
It's ridiculous. Nanakoke, 3 assists in this one. Kluch doesn't play in this one. Scanlon comes in, puts in 2 massive goals. I'm very excited to see what the future is for him, whether it is coming back to Buffalo because he is going to be a UFA this coming offseason, or if he goes and makes noise elsewhere around the league. McKay gets those 2 goals. Byrne 1, 3, and 4. Buchanan 1, 2, and 3. Again, he's a little bit more quiet in this one. That's the goal difference there. Smith 2, 3, and 5, and then Frazier picks up 2, 1, which the one was just insane. But it seemed like the offense was a bit out of sorts. The pick and rolls were almost there a few times, but it seemed like they were almost like a split second too late. Like the guy was coming open a split second too late off those pick and pops or pick and rolls, and the guy who's rolling, or I'm sorry, the guy who gets the pick set for him isn't seeing the guy come open, because there was a few times where it was Buchanan coming open or McKay's coming open, and it just seemed like they were off by just a split second late coming open on those pick and rolls. And then a lot of the times early on, they just weren't getting inside. Like, I think that a lot of that in the first half was just them not getting inside for whatever reason.
Yeah, and it just seemed like they were off, and also the fact that, again, not to pick on Byrne by any means, but there were situations where I feel like they just picked the wrong decision. And it wasn't just Byrne, it was the whole team, where like Byrne is directly in front of the middle of the net, and instead of using his amazing ability to shoot, he decides to dish off a pass that I think was too hard, too fast, and they tried to do a quick one-timer off to the side and it missed. And there were a few times where Byrne or Smith or somebody else was just in a great shooting opportunity, and instead of taking that shot, they would look to have that one extra pass to make it just that one extra situation, and then that pass would go all over the place. You wouldn't get a shot off at all. And it just seemed like those little decisions every once in a while were just that little bit off that normally they would make that correct decision. They would probably get a goal out of it, and we'd be on our way. And even like you said, just those little things where they missed, like a few off the crossbar, that Buchanan barely in the crease. Like, I know the world seems to be ending for a lot of people for this game. The first loss they've had in 11 playoff games. Everything's over. But if you really just rip this game apart, it was just a few loose balls that they couldn't get, and the offense just missing on a few chances. They were great opportunities. And then somebody that got called out a lot, which we also called out a lot during the game, Nanakoke, he just had a bad game. It happens. I think he'll be fine. He still had a 3-assist night. It's not like he wasn't doing anything. He's still out there setting lanes, but he just seemed off. Not only the passes to him that he was missing, but half the time he seemed to be on the opposite wing, kind of doing some kind of swing thing. I don't know if that was in their game plan to get him on the off wing or get him behind the net, just kind of mix up his abilities. I think he is good from behind the net, so I don't know if that's what they were trying to go for, but he just seemed a little bit all over the place and wasn't doing his normal kind of lane setting, pick and roll kind of game. He just seemed a little bit out there, and then a lot of the hard passes that went to him, he was already shooting and did not have the ball, and it was just those little things that if they clean up moving forward, they should be good. Scanlon, I think, was a huge boost to this offense. Not that Cloutier is bad. This isn't a direct comparison by any means, but his 2 goals and the way he gets fired up about those goals, because he's a young player, he just has that energy. I mean, his playoff goals, are those his first playoff goals?
That was his first playoff game, yeah.
Yeah, so 2 first playoff goals of his career, and you could just see the pure excitement. I think he gets the entire team riled up when he's scoring those kind of goals, because this team, like we've said a million times, their core has been around forever. It's their 5th straight finals. Like, most of them, this is a very older veteran team. They don't have that, this is exciting. Like, obviously they're excited. They're in the finals. They're in playoffs. But they don't have that, like, giddy little kid kind of first playoff game, first playoff goal experience anymore. Like, this is a team that's been there so many times. They're so used to this. This is just business for them at this point. They're like, go in, get the win, maybe enjoy it if you win. I don't know, and just raise the banner. Let's go on to the next one. We got a 4-peat, a 5-peat. Like, they're so business focused, which they should be. That's how they win. But it's nice to see that injection of some kind of youth and rookie from the offensive side. Yes, last year you had Wires and Belter, but they're not really having that kind of excitement for the game. They are internally, I'm sure, but like to see Scanlon get excited about those goals and to see the team rally around him rally around the team. I think those goals were obviously huge in a 1-goal game, but it was also just good to see that kind of energy for the team.
So before we dive into the defense and the goaltending, we're going to dive into our third and final sponsor of the show, Totally Buffalo Store. Their mission is to celebrate all things Buffalo with over 100 local artisans, and Phil's going to hammer that home in just a second. Their mission is they are the place to go when you need a gift for a friend or just want to be a little selfish, treat yourself, and shop around for something for yourself. They offer 3 locations, 3328 Sheridan Drive in Amherst, 3459 Amelia Drive in Orchard Park, and 467 Center Street for you Northtowners in Lewiston.
PK, get ready. This is a long one, but they have one other location that they're adding for a weekend. Memorial Day weekend, they are having a festival. The Totally Buffalo Festival is back at Buffalo Riverworks, bigger and better than ever. You can come and explore those 100 amazing local vendors and artisans on Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Plus, there is a free fun zone for the kids with bounce houses, inflatable obstacle courses, and more. Rain or shine, does not matter what the weather is. The vendors and bounce houses will be indoors or under the outdoor rinks. There will also be half-price rides for the iconic Ferris wheel over there that you see when you're leaving KeyBank Center. You look over, you see that Ferris wheel if you ever wanted to ride it. Now is the weekend to do it, half price, and you can also get cold drinks at the Tiki Bar all weekend long. And there's even more. It is the opening weekend of the Sweet Shop at Buffalo Riverworks, happening the Memorial Day weekend, featuring house-made fudge, ice cream, delectable desserts, and fantastic cupcake frosting and sprinkles LLC. And if you're wondering how much it costs to get into this wonderful event, well, the admission is free. You can find out more information, including the full schedule of events for that weekend, on their Facebook page. You can also check out their website for even more great stuff, including the recently added Buffalo Bandits colored Buffalo lawn sign at totallybuffalostore.com.
Go check them out, and it's even better that's a free, absolutely free event. We'll dive into the defense and goaltender here. And I don't think that this was much different than game 1. And I think it was just a lot of things. And it's not one thing. It's not one goal against that really did them in. It's not specifically like I don't know how other way to phrase this. It's just a lot of little things added up is the reason that they dropped this game. The offense wasn't all together. The defense not being able to pick up some loose balls. The breakdowns in the back end. Matt Vince wasn't his Matt Vince peak-esque in this one. He was very good. It's just I don't think he was the same goaltender that he was on Friday night in this Sunday game. But again, that's just my opinion, whatever. But again, Shanks goes for 3, 5, and 8 on 12 shots. You didn't have the Keenan go for 1 for 14 like he did in game 1. He went 2 for 8. You had Mans who lit it up a bit, 2, 4, and 6 on 11 shots. Walter chips in 1. Haley chips in 1. Trillo comes in instead of Anderson, is that bigger body out there. And then the biggest thing to really worry about, and I'm not going to touch on it too much because it's game 3, Robert Church hasn't scored yet, and that terrifies me, and I think Derek Keenan also said in the press conference, Church hasn't scored, and he's probably due, so I'm a little nervous about game 3. But that's down the road. I mean, goaltending, we'll go over it really quick. I think there were 3 goals for Saskatchewan. I kind of did that for Buffalo when they won. I'm going to do it for Saskatchewan here. First one, I mean, it's a very early shot by Smith. It goes off the boards, long rebound. It's a bad transition, and it's a transition goal. It's their first one of the series, and I believe it was their only one of the series so far. Shanks, early shot clock. Dawson is just slow to get out on Shanks. Again, doesn't get stick on hands. It's 2-0. Keenan, Priolo goes down to help Matisse. He's done this so many times this season and just burns them every single time. Doesn't make any sense. Keenan gets space. It's 3-0 early. Keenan uses Wires as a screen on the power play. That's one of those times where everybody's complaining that there's too many defenders in the crease. You got to change the rule. If you can shoot around it, this is what happens when you screen the goalie. He used that as to an advantage, and a bunch of people were pointing it out that, a lot of times in this one, Saskatchewan watched a lot of tape, and they found out ways to shoot around this defense, and this is kind of exposing it. Mann's Belter just can't get the loose ball. He can't find the man. It's 5-3 Saskatchewan. The sixth one, this is the first one that kind of stands out to me. It's right before half. Smith can't get the loose ball along the boards, gets slammed into it. Then Wires and Weiss, for whatever reason, can't get the ball. Again, this is a common theme. And they go for a hit. And then they don't get it, and they kind of cross each other, and then it's a 3-on-1 with just McKay back. I mean, that just can't happen in the dying seconds. That one, to me, if they don't score there, I think the result is actually different, and I think Buffalo could walk away with this one. I think that one was an absolute gut punch going into half, and that was the momentum that Saskatchewan needs if you want to believe in momentum. Haley, insane finish. I mean, Dawson is slow to get out there, but it's a better finish in my opinion. The cross twister, be able to grab that one on his offside and put it in, it was a ridiculous one. This one I think Matt Vince wants back. Walter's coming around the middle. He shoots it by Nick Weiss, but I do think that Matt Vince wants that one back. The ninth one, this is another one that I think stands out. It's the top of the power play. Zach Mans just rifles it through there. It's 9-9. And then, that was right after the insane Bucky one almost goes in, the diving one across the backside. The 10th one, this is the one that was an absolute killer in my opinion. Multiple players can't get the loose ball. Ends up in Shank's stick. Nobody's there. He dunks it home to take that lead that they do not give up. And then the 11th one, Belter just doesn't have any back help, and he loses Shanks on the backhand side. But to me, those three goals, the 6th, the 9th, and the 10th ones, were the absolute killers. But that 6th one, to me, in my opinion, and I understand that happened in the first half, and you still have to go through the whole second half. But that one, to me, was a culmination of how just little things added up to result in a bad thing. If Dane Smith gets that loose ball, it doesn't go the other side. If Nick Weiss and Cam Wires don't go on the same guy or are able to pick up that loose ball, it's not a 3-on-1 on the other side. If Ian McKay somehow blocks that shot, it's not in the back of the net. It's just those small things that add up. It's not one thing is the reason that Buffalo lost by one goal. It's a culmination of a bunch of little things.
But it's those things that they weren't doing in the first two rounds.
This whole series
were the things that were locked down in the first two rounds, where the defense was playing pretty much lights out. Vince was playing lights out, and the offense was doing what it needed to win games. And I think that's slipped a little in this series. Like, the defense just isn't as flawless as we saw them in those first two series. And I think it shows, especially with these loose ball ones. Like, I know anything can happen, but how you just can't pick up a loose ball when it's...
I'm telling you, Saskatchewan greased those balls.
Yeah,
like
I don't know.
I
when
want,
it's like...
You know how in baseball they're checking the pitchers for sticky stuff? I want Saskatchewan's balls examined.
What kind of substance we got on those?
That's a real right there.
Yeah. But yeah, they just could not pick it up, and it was just so frustrating. And then again, like you said, that gut punch, 0.9 seconds left in the first half, especially after Buffalo was on a 3-goal run. If you continue that into the second half, maybe different things go differently. I do agree with that. And then that last one, that 10th one, where again, multiple players can't get the loose ball. It seemed like it happened way too often. It wasn't just the ones that resulted in goals. It was once again those second and third opportunities for the Rush on offense. Even if it didn't result in a goal necessarily, it was the defense not being able to pick up a loose ball to get it to the offense to score, or at least get an offensive possession. And normally we're not a show that really puts a lot of stock into loose balls, but in both games, I think the Rush were up by 10 loose balls in both of them. So, yes, that culminates to a lot when it happens to be the loose balls that result in 2 to 3 extra opportunities. Go ahead.
And it's not even like they're getting beaten to the loose ball.
They're
there. It's
theirs.
just, for some reason, they just weren't able to come up clean with it. And maybe it's just the constant pressure that Saskatchewan puts on them. And, I know their forwards are back checking like crazy. They're just like Buffalo, but I think Buffalo still has the edge in that. Again, not a homer comment, but it's just, it wasn't that they were it wasn't lack of hustle. It wasn't that they were out of position. They were there. It's just they couldn't pick it up. And this is the first time in 4 years of covering this team that I've seen a team in a game like this that weren't able to come up with it, and it just happens so often. It's not like it's a 1 or 2 off. It happens so far throughout the series.
And even the offensive side of things, the offense isn't really getting those loose balls that often to get that second and third chance where We saw, and I think in both fourth quarters, they were able to do it in both of these games. But
Yes.
against Vancouver, you saw it like 6, 7, 8 times within a 10-minute span where they just keep getting it, keep getting it, keep
Yeah.
getting it. And like
That
that's
fourth quarter in that game too, they had it like 4 or 5 times, and then I think it was finally Kyle Buchanan. No, it wasn't Buchanan. It was maybe Ian McKay that finally puts it in like the fifth opportunity with the
Right.
same defense. And we weren't seeing that in this series.
right. And that's the kind of things that when you see it for Buffalo, you're like, wow, this looks great. You're killing clock.
Right.
You're getting those opportunities. But right now it's flipped where the Rush are doing what
Yeah.
the Buffalo Bandits were able to do in the previous series, where they're getting those second, third opportunities on offense. And eventually your defense just wears down. But overall, defense, I mean, I thought Vince was honestly one of the reasons they were even in this game for so long. He made a lot of huge saves, especially early on. I thought the team once again came out a little bit flat, a little bit slow, and Vince looked like he was one of the few people out there trying really hard and playing really well. And especially, again, just early on, I think he was able to weather the storm for the team to get into the game, stay into the game, and continue on, even though they went down 3-0 early. I think personally it could have been 4 or 5, and there were a few times where we saw it after it went 3-0. You're like, oh my gosh, please don't let this get to 4 or 5. And Vince has to make an incredible save, and he does. And even I think it was in the first quarter, he stacked the pads again on a ridiculous cross goal save. But overall, I don't know, it's one of those games, and very similar to game one, where it's just one or two little things that if they went the other way, you're looking at a win, you're looking at a finals victory, and it's over. I mean, if they are able to get any of those loose balls, this game is different. If Buchanan's able to keep his feet out of the crease, this game's a little bit different. If the ones that hit the post go in, this game's a little bit different. Even Burns that eventually went in, if he somehow dove, not in the crease or reestablished himself outside before that one ball goes in, this game's a little bit different. So, yes, they lost, but to me, I think they're still the better team. Play a clean game, and I think they get the win.
Yeah, I fully agree. Just to clean up some stuff here. Sorry, I'm doing some counting on the back end. I
PK's about to rant on the
miscellaneous stuff. Saskatchewan had a funny comeback on this one. Connor Farrell finally wins a clean one and then runs along the boards and kind of turns it over. They exclude the turnover part on their video, and then Saskatchewan's like, Naso's won 7 of 8. You haven't showed a single one of those ones, but you show this one again. I already kind of went over it. I think Fogo is the face-off dot is something they need to look at in the offseason. I think this postseason kind of shown light on it a bit more. If you're going to have a face-off guy, in my opinion, he needs to be able to win more than 40% at the dot in the playoffs. Otherwise, to me, it's a wasted position that you could have been playing a guy like Ron John at the position. But again, off-season topic. Camera guy, holy cow, two times in a row, Saskatchewan might have mics at work, but they do not have a competent camera guy. Holy crap, Phil. Like, last week, they missed the absolute one of the best goals and one of the best endings to a game ever because the camera guy doesn't know where the ball is. This one, he didn't know where the ball was 90% of the time. Like, it's insane how you can't follow a ball. Like, I don't get it. It's thank God there's not another game in Saskatchewan, and it's back to Buffalo because Buffalo camera guys do not have an issue with this. But it was almost unwatchable at times. Like, again, how is this the level that NLL accepts? It's ridiculous. I'm not going to rant too much because we're at the end of the show, but it's a topic of conversation this offseason that NLL has to take that next step on it's again, we say it all the time. I'm not going to rant. It's so many little things that just add up to bad things. The mic's not working. The camera guy can't follow a simple white ball around the field. There's one ball. It's one ball. How do you not follow it? Like, I get that there's trick plays out there, but this is just a ball that goes in the back half. Like, it's insane. Or whatever. But penalties, Nanakoke won. It's a bit iffy, but he hit him in the head. I get it. That's the right call for roughing. They took them both. It's after the whistle. I get that one. The illegal cross check, to me, it's a good call on Kidd because he got him good. He made it worth the two minutes. And the last one, it's a take it or leave it type of call. I get it because he kind of extended it and he got him in the head a little bit. But again, for everybody that's still in this, it's come down a lot in the last 4 years. But the people complaining about the refs, zip it. The refs are not the reason that the Buffalo Bandits couldn't pick up a loose ball or the offense was out of sorts or any of that kind of stuff. They made a few calls. Whoop-de-doo. You went 0 for 1 on the power play. They went 2 for 3. There's plenty of opportunities in this game. It's not the ref's fault in this one. I think 3 of the 4 calls were the right ones.
Yeah, I mean, the power play was kind of the difference. Not necessarily that they got them, but they were able to score this time on them, 2 of 3.
Yeah.
I mean, you take those 2 goals out. I mean, Buffalo in the first game held them 0 for 2 on the power play. In this one, they were able to get 2 for 3. Like you said, they found, after watching a lot of tape, a way to get through that Buffalo defense. And I think I don't know who it was, maybe Mans or Keenan. I think it was Keenan's power play goal. He got like cross checked or something in the side
Oh yeah, he
of
got
the
slashed
play,
bad.
and his shot just seemed like he was taking all the frustration he possibly had and just whipping it at the net. I don't even know if he knew where it was going to go. He just wanted to shoot as hard as he could because he was a little bit frustrated, and it went in. It was a great shot. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this
The
could have
only other
been.
thing I want to say is
Yeah.
with Buffalo complaining about the refs, that holding Gallant phantom holding call on Chase Frazier.
Oh yeah, that was not a hole.
Where are you guys complaining about that one? That one went in Buffalo's favor, but you don't mention that one whatsoever.
Yeah, I do think the only, again, I would have to, I haven't had a chance to rewatch game 2 yet, so I'd have to go back and watch to see what Buffalo was doing, but it seemed like the Rush were getting away with a lot of post-whistle shenanigans that normally Buffalo would not be allowed to get away with in a very similar situation. I think it is because, I mean, this is part of the issue is that the Rush have built really good I don't know, not chemistry is not the right word. Reputation, there it is, across the league as a team that does not get penalized. They play very calm. They play a very level-headed, cool game. So when they do get these extra shots and extra roughing, the refs are not as likely to call that play because they haven't had to on this team all year long, whereas Buffalo is
Very
known
true.
as the aggressive, physical, beat-em-up kind of team. So when they see that, they immediately call it because they know more is coming if they don't call that now. So I do think the Rush may have gotten away with some, again, after play, after whistle, roughing here and there, but again, they've kind of built that reputation to get away with things like that, where Buffalo sadly is not.
So milestones, I'm not going to go over them because 19 of the 24 hit. Well done, guys. There were 5 that didn't hit, and one of them was Chris Kluche didn't play in that second one, and Tohoka was held without a goal. And Josh Byrne was 3 loose balls away, and then Matt Vince was all the ones that didn't hit. They're literally 1 or 2 away from hitting, so we were very close to going absolutely perfect, 24 of 24. But again, I'm not going to go over all of them. Congratulations to all the accomplishments. It was a very successful week. Thank you for my last preview show. You don't make me and watch. There's going to be like 40 of them in this next one. I haven't gone through it, but that concludes game 1
Real quick,
and
though,
2 of the series.
with your milestones, congrats to Dane.
Yes.
Number 1 NLL playoff history, and he did do it in less games than Johnny.
Points per game.
Yeah, points per game. As we mentioned, we want to know what it was. He did beat Johnny, but at the same time, I think it took Johnny a little bit longer in age to get to the amount of playoff games that Dane has been to. So Dane might have still been in his prime a little bit earlier than Johnny was getting to some of those later playoff games. But still, congrats, Dane. That is a massive, massive accomplishment. Very cool. Number 1 in history. Just keeps breaking more and more records.
Yeah, statues. Start
Yes.
saving up for
Yes.
multiple statues. JT's first. But yeah, that will conclude game 1 and game 2. We'll be back Friday to preview game 3. It will be more of kind of reviewing what we went over here, what they need to improve on in game 3 rather than just our typical preview, because this is the 3rd straight time we're seeing the same opponent, and it's the first time in 2 years that we'll have to do this. Colorado was the last one. But yeah, that wraps us one up. Again, I'm not worried whatsoever. We kind of went over it. I still think unbiased Buffalo playing their best, Saskatchewan playing their best. I still think I give the edge to Buffalo, and you're playing at home. It will be the 4th straight. That's why I said they lost in Saskatchewan. It's the 4th straight finals where it's going to end in Banditland regardless. Win or loss, this is the 4th time we're going to be able to see the cup raised in Banditland, and that's something to appreciate. They have a chance to go 3-1 doing it, and the chance of a three-peat is still on the line. But Phil, that wraps up this one. Anything else to add to it before we shut it down for a really quick turnaround for Friday's episode?
Yeah, no, like you just said, the world is not ending. Their first playoff loss in 11 games. They're all right. They're all right. They're fine. Everyone take a breath. They're going to get a home game. This is why you want to be number 1 in the entire season. This is why you start with a home game in game 1. So if you win that one, it doesn't matter about game 2 because you're going back for game 3. this is why all of those kind of things add up and work in Buffalo's favor. And here we are, Game 3 at home. Have fun. Go win.
Deep rest, everybody. Deep rest. You're going to need all your oxygen on Saturday, 4:30 in Banditland. It's also on ESPN2 if you can't make it to the game. I've heard tickets are really going pretty well, especially considering they're sky high. But that will wrap up this episode. Again, we'll be back Friday for our preview, Monday for a reaction, and then next Friday is our final in Season 1 until we switch to one show every Wednesday in the off season. So we'll be back on Friday. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Thank you to Tap That Tap Room, Totally Buffalo Store, and Phrase Flowers for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Phil's article will be dropping on Wednesday. Check for it there. You can check out our link tree on our social media sites for our store or at the shop tab at the top of the website while you're reading Phil's article. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Until next time, bye-bye.